Hey there guys, so I just got back from watching Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, and I had a fantastic time with it. I thought the movie was super fun, but don't get me wrong guys, if you're the kind of person that wants to go into a movie and have a really deep philosophical experience, some great dialogue, some great story arcs, some great character development, you're not going to find any of that in this movie. This movie is, I'm going to call it what it is, it's a huge CGI fest. That's basically what it is. But they've taken criticisms from past MonsterVerse movies about not having enough monster action. This movie dials that monster action up all the way up to a 9 or a 10. It has extended fight sequences with titans, monsters on screen, just fighting each other, and you know, that's basically what makes this movie worth seeing. There's a scene right in the middle of this movie where Godzilla, spoiler alert here by the way guys, Godzilla basically suplexes Kong, and that alone is worth the admission of a ticket. Seeing Godzilla suplex Kong, like, I was just sat there like, I didn't know whether to laugh or be awe-inspired, but it was just, yeah, it was just incredible. So yeah guys, for me, like, the strong point, the CGI, the monsters, the extended fight scenes were fantastic. I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was so fun to watch. Just watching them exploding through buildings and just absolute carnage kind of all over the place. That was great. But the massive weak points, again, we're kind of used to this at this point in these MonsterVerse movies, was the human element. You know, the humans, they're not all that compelling. There was a prophecy about the little girl in the story. She was the last surviving tribe member who lived on Skull Island with Kong. And the prophecy says that she's going to be the one to release Mothra. And, you know, that's basically the part she plays in the movie. She releases Mothra. Again, this is a spoiler review here, guys. But, yeah, so it's a great turn your brain off, eat some popcorn, watch the action. But if you're looking for anything deep or philosophical here, guys, I'm afraid you're not going to find it. But that's not to say this movie was bad by any means. If you're at all a fan of Godzilla or Kong, you're going to love this movie because the action sequences were on point and just dialed up to a massive new level. And they were fantastic. This movie is more of a Kong-centric movie than Godzilla. I do feel that Godzilla took a bit of a backseat, but I understand why they would do that. Kong can convey human emotions better than what Godzilla can, so centering the story more around Kong absolutely makes sense. When we have those extended sequences within the Hollow Earth, having Kong there, we can convey more emotion through his, through his character and what he's going through. So again, that completely makes sense to have the story more centered around him. But the story is kind of basic. So we have, Kong encountering Scar King. Scar King has enslaved all these apes. And Scar King has this kind of MacGuffin, this little crystal. And he's basically enslaved Shimo, the Frost Dragon, the new Titan in this movie. And he can control Shimo, and he can get Shimo to attack people by using this little crystal that has enslaved Shimo, the Frost Dragon, under Scar King. Kong has a first battle with Scar King, to which he retreats. Kong goes back up to the surface to find Godzilla. Godzilla's been roaming around on the surface, attacking these nuclear facilities and powering himself up with nuclear radiation. At one point, Godzilla attacks this other Titan, absorbs all the radiation from this other Titan, and that's the reason why he's glowing pink and he's kind of got this new power level. But then kind of Kong and Godzilla have this mini showdown, and then Mothra kind of separates them. They team up together, go back down to the Hollow Earth, and then Godzilla and Kong take on Shimo and Scar King. But yeah, it's like I said, there's nothing deep here, there's nothing philosophical. It's just turn your brain off. Massive long action sequences with kaiju, but it's great. I think the CGI looks fantastic. There's some reviews out there saying that the CGI doesn't look that good when you compare it to Godzilla Minus One, but I'm not really here to compare it to Godzilla Minus One. That's its own thing. I don't want to compare it. I think the CGI looks incredible. I think the action sequences are great. The one thing that I really found disappointing is, it's missing any emotional weight, any emotional depth here. There's absolutely none of that. They tried to do little emotional points throughout the movie with the human characters, but it just lands hollow, no pun intended. And yeah, ultimately anything that's got any depth or any emotional weight just kind of falls to the side, and the CGI fest kind of ultimately takes over in this movie. But that's not a bad thing because the CGI is done incredibly well. The fight sequences are great, and to see Godzilla and Kong teaming up, Kong riding on the back of Godzilla and Shimo, the Frost Dragon, kind of the new Titan that's entering the monster verse. That Titan alone is absolutely incredible to see. It's huge. That Titan is huge, and it has frost powers. And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to see that. And Mothra in there. It's great to see Mothra back as well, kind of the queen of the Titans. It's great to see Mothra in there. Mothra kind of has a overarching story within the within this movie. Doesn't have a massive input, kind of only appears towards probably the third act. But it's still great to see Mothra in there. But ultimately, the ending scene where we have all the Titans in this city fighting and just smashing buildings apart and destroying the city. And yeah, guys, it's just incredible. If that's what you're looking for, if you're going into this movie just looking for fun action sequences with these huge Titans, then that's exactly what you get. That's what this movie is about. Like I said, they've took previous criticisms from past MonsterVerse movies where fans have said that there's not enough monster action in those movies. They've taken that advice, dialed it up to a 10 or 11, given us massive extended scenes with the monsters in the Hollow Earth and on the surface, and these fight scenes play out and they look great, they look incredible, and it's so fun. It's awe-inspiring to sit there on an IMAX screen and to see these larger than life Titans just fighting each other, and that's all you need. That's all you need. This movie is just so fun. But on the flip side, I do understand why a lot of the reviews and reactions from critics are saying that there's no emotional depth. This movie has no deepness to it. The emotional resonance just isn't there. And I get where people are coming from. But when you go into a MonsterVerse movie, you don't expect to see any of that. So criticizing that, I don't really understand, because you don't go into a movie like this expecting to see any of that stuff anyway. So guys, from my perspective, if I had to give it a rating out of 10, I would probably give it a 7. If the emotional depth and weight was there on the human side and the human element was a little bit more compelling, then this movie would be automatically dialed up from a 7 to a 9 or a 10, because the action sequences and the kaiju scenes are incredible. It's just the human element, again, that is kind of lacking, but we've come to expect that in this MonsterVerse kind of franchise at this point. But guys, absolutely recommend this. If you're at all interested in kaijus, titans, monster movies, this is absolutely for you. But like I said, don't expect any emotional depth, any philosophical kind of intrigue here. You're not going to find that. But other than that, yeah, if you're a Godzilla or a Kong fan, they're going to give you everything you want in the action sequences. It's just worth the ticket alone just to see those action sequences. And yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts and opinions here, guys. The action scenes are great. It's worth the ticket of admission itself, but it's not that deep of a movie. But we kind of knew that going into it. We kind of expect that from the franchise at this point. And I give it a 7 out of 10, like I said. But going forward, if they can improve that human element, you know, in future installments, then it could potentially dial the franchise up to 8 or 9. So I'm looking forward to hoping that they do that. But guys, that was just kind of my thoughts, mini review kind of on the movie here. Have you seen the movie, or are you planning to see the movie over the weekend? If you have, what did you think of the movie? Did you agree with me? Did you disagree with me? And if there's anything that I'm missing, jump down into the comment section. Let me know all your thoughts, comments, and opinions on Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. I really can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. As always, thank you so much for being here and talking some movie news with me. I always appreciate that, guys. And I will see you in the next one.